You ready, Jam?
I'm ready.
All right, perfect. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Big Letter Podcast. I am your host, Hedo,
And I'm your co host, Jam.
and we are happy to have you back for episode 2. S is for sub.
And the letter of the day is.
We ain't gotta go over there yet. You're rushing the thing. You gotta slow play it.
I'm so excited about it, though.
I mean, I get it. It is a jam dominated episode, but we gotta at least let the people know what's going on with us.
Fine. I'm just saying today's episode is the reason why I wanted to hop on the podcast with you anyway.
And that is why I had to make sure episode 2 got to give out the shout to the little letters so that way they can get their shine. Because without them, there's no Dom.
We're the most important. Haha.
Bring it back, bring it back. It's a 50-50 split, Shout out to the power dynamics.
Fine, fine. Well, what did you get into this week?
Well, this week, if anything, I want to go ahead and focus specifically on the kinky stuff for the week. And in terms of my kink life, I was reached out to by someone I came across at Spankfest that I went to in Houston not too long ago. And they were impressed by the scene I did that evening, that they reached out to me on FetLife and asked if I would perform a scene for an event they're hosting, a Halloween strap-on event in Houston. They want me to go ahead and put on a scene of my choosing at what they're throwing. So luckily, I will be free on the 21st after finishing my little coursework for something else. And yeah, I just gotta negotiate, find someone out there that'll be willing for me to perform the scene on. And yeah, I'll be out here doing some kinky things for someone's Halloween party.
You have the magic because that's how I met you in the first place.
I have a certain set of skills that I work on. That's all it is. All right, Jam, and what about you? Any kinky things going on for you this previous week?
I guess you could say it's been a rope week for me because first I found some cotton rope in a discount store for $1.49.
Hey.
Bought that. And then I started following somebody on TikTok who talks rope and I learned a corset tie and it may just be my new favorite.
Hey, do you have any pictures?
I will.
Okay, that's all. That's all I'm asking for. If there's no pictures, it didn't happen. That's the lay of the land nowadays.
If I can do it by myself, I'm posting the picture everywhere.
But no, I am happy for that to happen for you this week. I really need to get back into my rope practice. I am like 3 months rusty now, and I literally have like a bag of rope at my foot right here with like a lot of hanks of rope, as well as I have my mannequin Barry over here just waiting to get tied up. So I gotta
I
make
didn't
sure.
even think about that. I just got a mannequin to post some clothes to sell, but practicing rope on her sounds like a good idea.
I mean, that's how I got my little AKA pink and green tie that's on my page. That's Barry. Though now she has a bear mask and a blonde wig, and some glasses and a little beret. Like my anchor
Wow,
partner, she went ahead
personality.
and dressed up Barry like from head to toe. But all right, now, any more kinky things happened to you this week?
Nah, I'm living kind of a dry life these days, but I am excited to get to Exotica on the 21st.
Oh, okay. I know several people going there, and I'm a little salty that I'm not going to make it. But then again, I was asked to go ahead and do a scene that weekend of Exotica. So it's like, I'll be in Houston doing my thing. You'll be in Jersey living a good life.
Right.
Yeah, I know for me, not too much. I just pretty much need to focus on getting some practices in. Maybe post some of my practices on the IG because it's one thing, the reason why I wanted to make a podcast like this, why I try to give instructions and teach things, is because a realization I had was I can't do everybody. Like, there's the limitations to what one can do. What
Are you
I
sure?
I would love. Was it Lil Wayne's song? I wish I could fuck every girl in the world. The key word is wish, because when you actually are in a position where it's like, yo, I'm tired. Like, during the Neon Jungle party, I went ahead and did like 10 impact scenes that night, and I realized that was like when I realized like, yeah, I can't do this by myself. Like, like more people need to know how to do this properly, because it's like there's not enough fish in the sea for this. Like, you got to have more people that know what they're doing, and if I can help one person pick up that knowledge and realize like, oh, there's a way to do it, and I can actually do it myself. Yeah, I'm happy to make things like this, or videos, or instructions, because that's actually my next endeavor, is to like buy a camcorder and actually like record lessons. Now, will there
Amazing.
be vanilla versions and not safe for work versions? Hell yeah, because we try to get these OnlyFans and Excite Bunny money over here.
I was just about to say, maybe you should just lead the classes. So you heard it here, folks. Hedo is training the people.
Working on training the people. But all right, we got that. We at least got our kinky week out of the way. So let's go ahead and hop into the letter of the day.
The letter of the day is S for submissive.
Sub for short. And this is the main reason why we have Jam as the dominant party of this episode, because what do you identify as?
I am your local sub kitten, little brat, but we'll go into the rest of those things later.
In future episodes. But yes, when it comes to submissive, that is essentially the most known little letter when it comes to the BDSM community. It's literally in the title of BDSM. Wait, isn't it bondage,
Yes.
domination,
Mm-hmm. And then double pack.
dom, sub,
Yeah.
sadomasochist? Okay, there we go. I have to like make sure I catch myself. I don't know if it's my Capricornness, but I gotta make sure when I say something, even though it's right, I gotta like double check it. Like, was that right?
I love a multifaceted acronym.
I would say lazy, but we'll just go with efficient. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and dive into it. All right. Now, my lovely little subby jam, what is a sub?
Hey, so a sub or submissive is a sexual participant who willingly gives up some or all of their control to a dominant partner. This type of partnership is often referred in the BDSM community as dominant submissive, your middle DS relationship. Subs can identify as any gender or sexuality. Being submissive can mean different things to different individuals, and it can involve many different activities. Some submissives and dominants can be switches. Remember, last episode, we talked a lot about exploring what feels good. These individuals can move between either role depending on the scene.
Okay, now with all that said, like, what's the point of being a submissive? What do they get out of it?
Oh, they get a lot out of it. But for most submissives, they gain pleasure from the act the dominant inflicts upon them and from the knowledge that they're pleasing their dominant. You could call that the pleasure principle. These acts and feedback put submissives in a mental space called subspace. Subspace can be achieved in many ways depending on the person, such as verbal cues like referring to your dominant as sir, master, ma'am, or mistress. Subspace can also be achieved by physical cues such as bondage with rope, collaring, cuffs, caging, and things I like to call ready positions.
All right. What other things can submissive do? Like, what are acts they have for them?
Submissive acts can vary. People mostly think of scenes where submissives are involved in sexual acts. However, scenes can also be non sexual and involve engaging in impact like spanking, caning, paddling, etc. and different types of consented torture. Submissive acts can also vary when it comes to pain. Some subs enjoy light teasing, while others get off on significant types of pain. Am I hearing sadist masochist behavior? Other submissive acts include obedience, begging and asking for permission, being punished, role play, and being displayed and shared by the dominant. Sex gear and toys can also be a big part of being a submissive, including gags, handcuffs, spreader bars, paddles, blindfolds, and more.
That actually sounds like a lot of fun that you personally be having out in these subby streets. And
You know I do.
so I mean that's got to be everything, right?
No, there are some really important things about being a submissive, and there's always more to explore,
All right. Do you have any more right now?
for sure. Some important things to know about subs is that many people outside of the BDSM community look at someone being submissive and they mistake them and get the impression that submission equals weakness. But in reality, there's nothing further from the truth. In a consenting and mentally sound dynamic, the submissive is someone who is self aware and has embraced these aspects of their personality. It's these personality traits that heighten pleasure and actually puts them on equal footing with the dominant. There can be no domination in a DS relationship if the submissive doesn't embrace their role willingly as the dominant does. The dominant is just as dependent on the submissive. Some might even argue that submissives actually have significant control during a scene, which is referred to topping from the bottom. It's also important to note that just because someone is submissive in their dynamic doesn't mean they're submissive in their everyday world. In fact, for many people, they spend most of their time outside as more dominant and in places of control or power.
See, and the way you're bringing up power, money, respect is all that keeps playing in my head. So I could see a lot of the appeals that submissive have for being their submissive selves. Because I can at least attest that yes, as a proper dom, it is important to note that the submissive has significant control in the situation because you are only allowed to do what they have consented, which we will discuss further along the line in a future episode. But see, here's the thing that stuck in my mind also in my mind is that one of the biggest things that happens when someone talks about being a sub or having a dom enact certain things on them that there's like a negative thing about having that happen. Like, have you heard of that before?
Of course. We live this every day and have to have lots of conversations about how to make being submissive safe and also a positive experience. Something else that we hear a lot is that submissives are embracing abuse. And while it's possible that there can be an abusive dom sub relationship, that can be true of any relationship. Evidence suggests that abuse is far more common in non DS relationships where people are just learning how to be people. But dom sub relationships and kink in general is based on communication. A solid dominant and submissive pairing is centered around consent and respect. So before a scene, both partners should establish and understand boundaries as well as safe words.
All right, all right, all right. See, Jan be knowing these things. Like this is why I am having her as a co-host, even though I had no idea I would have her as a co-host when creating this. So shout out to the sub Jam advocating for herself to go ahead and slide into these podcasting streets.
I'm not always chaotic. I can be informational.
All right, so we still got a little bit more to talk about in regards to all this. So I want to go ahead and take a quick break. Let's go ahead and get some water, some drinks, some shrooms, some herbal supplements, whatever it is you need, and over there, Jam, and I'll do what I need to do over here, and we're just going ahead and be right back.
You doms are obsessed with water.
You gotta stay hydrated, and you gotta mind your business.
All right, and we're back. I've done a lot of talking, so maybe you can help us out by describing what are some types of Dom sub relationships.
So you're really not even gonna say please?
Please.
That please came with some attitude, but I'll allow it. Now, types of dom sub relationships that are dynamics that we come across. There are varying degrees of DS dynamics. Now, some people only play at being submissive during certain times, such as during sex, at a sex party, or when they're inside of a BDSM dungeon. Others may live full time as submissive and relinquish control to their dominant in all aspects of their lives. This is known as 24/7 submission, usually tagged as a master slave dynamic that we will definitely get into in future episodes. Many of the same dynamics used in sexual scenes are transferred to day to day situations, including obedience using honorifics like sir, ma'am, master, daddy,
Mm.
and deference to the dominant. The submissive will perform duties for the dominant, and in turn, that dominant will take care of the submissive. It's all an exchange, it's give and take between the two. It's important to do the work and learn what level and amount of time feels comfortable for you because, again, we are all living lives, we are all busy, and this is just an aspect of our lives, not our full lives. So we got to make sure that we do have the time for these things. And if it's just not for you, it's not for you. It's okay to back away and walk away from all of it. I actually got a couple friends. Shout out to Margie, who was like, "Yeah, I'm good. I'm gonna go ahead and walk away from this," and she's still living her best life, and I'm happy for her.
She's not the only one I've heard do that, but that's really good for people to understand when it's just not it anymore.
I mean, yeah, if it's whatever it's for you, it's for you, and when it's not given, then get gone. All right, and also, so high honor in some DS relationships is for the dominant to collar the submissive. The dominant gives and attaches a collar around the submissive's neck to solidify their bond and relationship. Collaring is actually turned into a whole ceremony sometimes, kind of like a wedding. Like I make sure I express that to people a lot that, a collaring is not no simple, oh, I found this little charm bracelet, here you go. Like there is a whole level of commitment that is established between when it comes to collaring. So it's always good that both parties know what's going on, which is why episode 6, be on the lookout. We already got it booked. We're going to be talking about collaring.
I'm excited about that episode. And of course, if you're exploring submission and you just want to see how a collar feels and maybe place it on yourself, I mean, people marry themselves, but also like get to know what it feels like on you. But don't just let anybody go putting a collar on you now.
I mean, hey, and if you do, I'm just going to say the best of luck to you. Though, let me go ahead and throw this out there. If you are currently collared and want to talk about it, yo, hit me or Jam up. We would love to have you on to talk about it. Or you can, hit the email texastribe.ish@gmail.com so that way we can bring you on and we can just all talk about it.
Yes, please. I would love to talk more about collaring ceremonies with others.
All right, now let me go ahead and pass it back on to the subby lady over here. And I do want to ask, who can be a sub?
Anybody. But
Anybody?
honestly, yeah, just about anyone can enjoy the pleasures of submission. However, it is important that everyone be aware of societal norms that have scarred views of submission. But the more you know, the more you grow. Make sure that you are of sound mind when beginning your journey into submission. Do the work of knowing your trauma and your triggers. While it is true that life experiences can lead us into different parts of kink, it's important to be of your why. Understand why some scenes feel good or familiar. And when you engage in submission, you need to be honest about your mental state. When you engage in submission and you're not honest about your mental state, it is a violation of consent for the dominant. Yes, you heard that right. Dominant's consent can also be violated.
That is definitely correct because a big thing when it comes to actually during that negotiation, during that discussion, the reason why you want to be truthful is so that way the dominant can adjust. And also, that way they can make sure that they are keeping your well being in mind. Because if you are in a fragile mind, in a fragile mental state, they can either cancel the scene on the spot because they understand the damage it can do, or tailor the experience where it is actually freeing and removing stress from you. That way, they will go about it where they will either coax that trigger into coax the trigger, so that way you're not kind of breaking down or in a worse state, or avoid it altogether to try to give you some relief on the other end of things. But they cannot do that if they do not know.
Right. I mean, do some yoga, do some meditation, and get to know your body so that when your body is starting to experience shock, you can full stop, use that safe word, and stop the scene so you can compose yourself. It's totally okay.
All right, now next up, I do want to ask on top of that. So, anyone can be a sub. You say it yourself, no take backsies. Now, how should one go about being a sub?
I meant what I said. But if you really want to be a sub, look around to see what interests you. Learn as much as you can and check in with your mental health regularly. Listen to your body when something doesn't feel right. And then, most importantly, vet the people you choose to be in community with. Learn from and play with the same way you would vet a potential life partner. I know this from experience. I was very excited to get into the life. I met some really chill people, but my first experience in community was not so hot. And I learned from it, but I'm hoping that I can give you these lessons before you too have to learn from it. Don't forget to find trusted spaces in your area where you can try new things. And don't worry about feeling like you're moving slow. Take it one step at a time. You don't have to try everything all at once. Submission is fluid and it can look however you like. Maybe you only want to submit sexually. Maybe you don't like being on your knees. Maybe you only want to submit for one type of dominant. The world is your oyster to pick at safely.
Oh, yeah, and I want to go ahead and throw in look for local munches. That is very important because it is a self made community where you get to interact in a non kinky space. Like you're just simply getting to know one another. You're just checking out the vibes, and if it vibes for you, it vibes for you. You go to an event they may be throwing. If it don't, then it don't. Keep it moving.
Right. Just like when you're dating somebody, people in kink can have the same interests as you too. Get to know if you like reading books, find kinky people who like reading books. If you like food, which is how I like to engage in munches, find kinky people who also really like food. That kind of attention to detail can help you build stronger relationships.
And that's what I'm about. Now, looking at you, because see, we're on Zoom, so I get to look at Cruella the Jam, speak to y'all folks about these things. And right now, it seems like she's got a question for me.
I do have a question for you. What do you, our big letter, prefer in a sub?
Let's see. Now, I understand something that not all people are monoliths. Same thing goes for subs. Not all subs are a monolith, so I'll be a bit picky on just a few things. Number one, clear and confident communication is like a big thing. I don't need my sub to be sheepish and advocating for herself. I don't need my sub to do the game of assumptions. I don't need to put guesswork in. I need to know exactly what it is that they want me to provide for them. Otherwise, it's just going to be a big headache.
So use your words.
Use your motherfucking words. Number two, I need them to adjust their relationship with consent. I've heard some people complain about, so there are some DOMs that I personally know, and I've heard complaints that they have received from people that have never really been dominated before about, man, he keeps asking me too many questions. Oh, he keeps talking too much. Oh, why don't he just go ahead and do his thing? I,
What?
yes, it's because they have a bad relationship with consent. The fact that these doms are constantly seeking consent, making sure that they are comfortable, it's a weird feeling when your women are always told you gotta be strong, you gotta do X, Y, and Z. So the idea that this person actually is caring and looking out for you, it feels weird. Sure, I get that. You gotta fix that shit because a dominant's purpose is to look out for your well-being in that scene. Now, if you're looking for a sadist and you want to go ahead and be that masochist to receive everything, let that be known during negotiation. You gotta make sure that you are letting them know. Otherwise, if you leave it up for interpretation, they're gonna have to keep checking in constantly just to make sure you're okay.
Right. That's why I can't wait till we talk about consent and what that looks like because you have to know how to have those conversations. Do you want to get it all out of the way at the beginning of the scene and then not have to think about it during? Or do you want regular check ins in the middle of a scene?
Yeah, that's why number two is gonna be that I need them to fix that relationship with consent. That's something else that I also love for my subs. And number three would have to be keep an open mind. And the reason why I say keep an open mind is because some people that want to bottom go in with the set expectations of a 50 Shades of Grey. Like, oh,
Mm.
I just want to be blindfolded and this, and this. It's like
Oh boy.
that's not how this works. I need you to be that canvas and let me do my work.
Right. Submissives, remember, you are technically in charge. So you have to speak up and say what you want.
And I'll just throw in a bonus one. This one I wouldn't even say is a preference in a sub, but more like a preference in general. I need my sub to start negotiating from a place of yes. I don't need to hear about what I won't do, what I don't want, or anything of that nature. And this is a credit to the two dames that appeared on the Hard or Soft podcast,
I was just
where
thinking about them.
yeah, where they brought up that they are tired of hearing people like, "Oh yeah, I don't want to be slapped in the face, but everything else is free game." It's like when they explain that, like, all right, cool, so I can just tie you to my car and drag you down the street because you didn't say that was a no. So yes, I need myself to start negotiating from a place of yes, where I need you to think about what it is that you do want. Like, do you want to be smacked on the ass? Do you want to be involved with orgasm denial? Like, don't limit it to the no's. Otherwise, you might be missing out on some yeses that you actually want.
Yeah, I like to say go into these things with intention. And intention doesn't mean you already have set in your mind exactly what you're going to do, but set an intention so you know like how you want to feel, which is also something they said that really resonated with me. How do you want this scene to make you feel?
So yeah, that would have to be my main things. I do have others, but those are more like niche type shits that be more on the personal tip.
Well, let's get a little personal then. Now that we've already talked about dominance and we've already talked about submissives, tell us about what your dynamic looks like.
All right, so my dynamic is a little fluid in a way. So I am a relationship anarchist. It's kind of it's pretty much non-monogamy, but every relationship is customized in a way between like me and whoever. Like we talk about all the things that we want out of each other, and we stick it to that. There is no like preset format. Everything has to be like made from scratch. So with my anchor partner, we do have occasional moments where I'm doing like rigging things on her, as well as some impact things. But it's more, she's still more in the exploratory phase of things. So I don't go full end on her because you gotta learn a little bit more before we go deeper into it. Cause I do not need your feelings hurt if I say look me in the eye as I'm him,
Okay.
yeah. Another dynamic that I do have, this one I would consider my play partner, where again, impact scenes, sensory deprivation, sensual massages, like certain things that are done to her directly. And well, at the moment it is kind of a pause because it's kind of like a recharge battery moment for her because life be life, and some people really do use that BDSM for a release because of how much lives keep people out of control
For sure.
against their will. They are happy to give up that control of their choose. Like they actually have a choice. Like, yo, just do what you want with me. I'm just gonna be here and revel in it. So happy for her. Like I'm like giving her space to like recharge because winter is coming too. It's one of those seasons.
We all know about that winter.
And then I do have my comments here and there. Be it DMV, New York, and Houston, where when I'm in town, then I do have my impact scenes with them, as well as rope is a very popular thing. It's just I bring rope, like yo, come tie me up. Um,
Oh, I didn't know that because every time you're in town, I just ask for my best friend.
I still bring rope with me just for the heck of it, but yeah, the Fluffinator, shout out to Firebird Leather, stay with me. Um, but yeah, I did have a meeting with. I don't think it's no longer potential anymore, but the term is pain slut. To give a quick rundown, there's the concept of a masochist and then there's a pain slut. A masochist just revel in the pain, like they take pleasure in the pain. But the pain slut is more so they convert that pain into sexual energy that can make them orgasm.
I like how that sounds.
And so met with her not too long ago. We're trying to set up a thing where we can, meet and just do things privately together because at Spankfest, I got to see old boy use a mallet, saw him use a kettlebell, saw him use these various implements on this woman, and she was in love with it. And me and this person, we actually had a scene after the art exhibit that was thrown by Sexual Essentials. Like it was late night. It's like we end up just chatting, and then it escalated to where we had a scene go on, and it was like a full on use all my tools that I brought impact scene, and ended with some aftercare cuddles that end up
Good
like
thing you
falling
bought
asleep
the
and stuff.
suitcase.
So yeah, so that is my current dynamics. Looking to customize a bit more because I got a lot more kinky things that I want to get involved with, like electricity, fire, and all that.
Mm.
What about you?
I'm with your anchor partner. I'm still in my period of exploration, but I am in a relationship and it's ethical non monogamy at its best. But we play at parties, and our relationship is vanilla forward with a DS dynamic. How do I even describe? I'm basically learning how I want to be a submissive and what that looks like for me with my dominant partner. And it'll change as we go on, of course. But I've also learned that sometimes I too need a different kind of dominant. And primal play is one of my favorite things to do. And being bratty is also one of my favorite things to do. But sometimes you want to be with a soft dom like my daddy. He's very caring and touching, and he's also a switch. So he enjoys doing service kinds of things that make you feel good. And I enjoy doing service kinds of things that make him feel good. But I also did have a chance to experience Sir Marvelous in action, and that's a total different type of domination. That's your let go kind of domination, like do what you must.
It's like you just had a flashback right now.
Just a little one, just a little one. But yeah, I'm still learning how I want to show up as a sub. And I'm also learning like what types of things I like to play with, but also what kind of service I like to offer. I did learn at the Fed event that I went to that waitressing, not my steez.
Mm.
But I will roll you a nice blunt, and I will make you a nice bubble bath.
Okay,
Yeah.
so have you looked at? All right, this is again. We have so much that we can discuss, so don't mind
Oh
me
yeah.
asking this question right now. But have you looked at cigar service?
I haven't looked at cigar service, but I also can't really stand the smell of cigars.
Okay, that's reasonable.
Yeah,
Wait,
I really
cigars or
like the
cigarettes?
smell
'Cause I
of.
know cigarettes, I can't stand cigarette smells, but
Oh,
cigars, I feel
cigarettes are
like,
a big no.
yeah. But
But
cigars, I'm like, this
cigars
ain't bad.
also. Maybe I need to see some more high quality cigars and maybe that'll do it for me. But like I really like the smell of marijuana. It's like floral or like candy. And I like honestly I can't smoke it, but I will smell it. And I'll roll for you. And then I'll enjoy. And my dom's the best because honestly, I don't even know how to roll fully right now, but he will smoke anything that I roll for him, even if it's falling apart.
As a real commitment. I'm over here thinking about a friend in DC because she does all the herbals with the weed. Like you'll have like some goat stuff and some
Yes.
tumble this, and it'll be like, here you go, and it'll be like smooth and like it's like, oh yeah, this part, oh that'll help with the sex. Here's some of this. It's like, okay, cool.
That's my next venture. I do the herbs and I want to get some good mixes together to mix with different strains of marijuana and really get the people going. Like we'll start with the rose, we'll enter the lavender. Things you just get ready for those.
Oh man. Oh, hold up. We're getting sidetracked. Okay. All right. But no, I feel like we pretty much got this covered. So let me go ahead and give thanks to my co-host Jam over here for leading us this episode. But I'm the captain of this ship, so I got it from here on.
Fine, fine. You guys never let us have too much fun.
Just enough fun so you don't be out here going crazy. Don't worry, we got more little letters for you to cover.
Good.
All right, and I just want to go ahead and give you space. What you got to share with the people? It's like your socials and whatnot.
Well, you can find me on Twitter as Lady Lies Waiting, on IG as I_mean_her, and on FET as Love Aphrodite. But I'm also really interested in coloring ceremonies because I'm ordained and that's what I want to do. I'm also a doula and a professional cuddler, so if you're interested, you can find me at maryjanescouch.space.
Sweet. And you people already know me. I go by the Hedonistic Dom on multiple platforms with different underscores everywhere. Be it FetLife Hedonistic Dom _ at the end, Twitter Hedonistic_Dom, or on Instagram as Hedonistic Dom, and this one is just spelt out clearly. I do have my OnlyFans and Excite Bunnies in the work where I plan on showing some tutorials and some other freak nasty shit because why not? So be sure to follow, tune in, and thanks again for being here for episode 2.
Can't wait to see your magic. For everybody, remember, stay kinky and be safe.
Kinky and safe always.